Thanks, everybody, for joining us for another Around the World with Doug Leslie. I am your host, Doug Leslie, and this YouTube channel is devoted to presenting and highlighting workers from around the world whom you would otherwise never know about. Our guest today is it's the same thing we always do. Pastor Olu Sunday from the Royal Mission. How's it called? What's it called? Royal Missionary
Outreach International.
There we go. Royal Missionary Outreach International. See, I should have known that ahead of time. But that's the way it goes. It's great to have you, Olu. You've been working for many, many, many years from Lagos, Nigeria, and I think people should get to know you. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, good, man. I'm glad. So, that's always a positive sign that you're glad to be here.
That's right.
Olu, I want people to get to know who you are. I want them to understand what invigorates you, what drives you, why you do what you do. But we want to know a little bit about you as well, right? So if you would do us a favor and just kind of help us understand who you are. Where did you grow up? How did you get here? How did you get to where you are? And serving where you are, because what folks don't know is you've been doing this outreach into the Saharan desert for 30 years,
Yeah.
right? So it's not a Johnny come lately. It's not some newfound passion. It's a 30-year drive that you've been on to reach the peoples of the Sahara. And we want to know how that happened. So if you would help us understand how you got where you are.
That's right. Thank you very much. I'm grateful. My name is Olu Sunday. I was born in Nigeria, in Ondo State in Nigeria. I grew up there to a Baptist family. My father, late father now, was a deacon in Baptist church, and my mother being an influential woman among the Women Missionary Union of Baptist Church. So we all grew up in the knowledge of being a Christian until I got converted to the Lord Jesus personally around 1980. And one thing I know have been with me from infant is I love pulpit. I love preaching. I love ministry. I remember there was a time I put pressure. I was then around 10 years, something like that. I put so much pressure on my dad, being a deacon, that he should convince our reverend that time, the assembly pastor, to allow me to be leading early morning prayer. We used to have early morning programs in the church, 5 a.m. Everybody, wherever you are, you must have been to the church between 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. it was closed. So I was putting pressure that they should allow me to also be, they used to choose those who are going to be in the program for a week and coordinate the meeting for each week. So they put me on the roster. After so much pressure, my dad explained to the reverend. I was sad when my dad came back and said, Reverend will not allow you. I said, why? I can do it. I can preach. And the same reverend said that you are young, you are still small. It wasn't the age of children evangelism as we have now. So you are too small. The people will look down on your message. The people that you have to preach to, the adults, and if you are preaching, they will look down on your message. I should wait for some time until I grow. I feel sad. I felt sad, but I just love to preach. I just love to minister. So, well, I grew up after schooling. I got converted 1980. One thing I discovered is that I love evangelism, even then. So I got converted with that zeal, with that fire inside of me. I cannot stop going places, going places with tracts, giving people tracts, touching, speaking to them. I feel I cannot, if I'm to go from one location to another location, I must reach one, at least one or two persons. I must share tract, I must share booklets with them. So I just love, it's like a waste of journey for me. If maybe I want to go to market, I want to go to somewhere or important to me, and I will do the whole journey and I'll come back without talking to somebody on the street or without giving tract to someone on the street. We grow there. After sometimes I got job. I worked with UAC then in Nigeria here, and for some years. But the pressure of going to places where we felt Christianities are not strong was so much on me. We had some group that time that we used to group of youths at that time that during weekend, especially Sunday evening after the church, we all assembled together and pick just an environment, just a town, just a village where we felt Christianity is not so popular. And we drag ourselves there. So who has come among us will take us, we'll go there, we'll go from street to street and preach to the people. And sometimes we begin to have some numbers of people that are born again and willing to be churched. We begin to look for any church that can send their pastor to that particular community and then let the church start. And we don't care which name, we don't care which church, just to find any church that can pastor the people. That's how we are grown. Until when the pressures of going places on the weekend, together with the pressures of working with UAC, was so much on me. I have to put on a resignation letter to go fully into ministry. And I felt I have passion for the Muslim, especially stark Muslim. I have passion.
How many?
I used to call
I
myself,
don't mean to interrupt you. How many people? How many were involved with you when you made this transition to kind of really have a burden for the Muslim population? How many we're talking about?
you know, when we're youths, when we're young and youths, and we're somewhere Baptists or from different churches, we used to gather ourselves. We call it Christ Witnessing Team. I never knew. In fact, most of us that were there, majority of them end up being a pastor, end up being whatever. But we're just youth, and with our youthful zeal, so we go about that. Yes. So
when you say youth,
yes,
Olu, how
yes,
old
yes.
are we talking? 20?
Well, yeah, around between the smallest among us will be around 24.
Okay. And it was just a group of guys who just had a passion for evangelism. And we've frozen. This sometimes happens. So Okay, we're back. Sorry, folks, we had an internet connectivity issue, and these are not, we have first world issues here in the United States, Olu, where we have solid running internet connections, and I know you guys don't have that there. And we were just having the conversation offline that this is better than where you go for ministry, because once you get into the desert, everything is cut off and there's no connectivity. And so we're thankful that it's back on, and that's okay. We were in a discussion, Olu. You were talking about these 20-year-olds, which I love. These young men who come together, the heart for evangelism, going street to street, doing evangelistic, handing out tracts, those kind of things. And then you guys started getting this burden for the Muslim community.
That's right.
Right.
No,
So let's pick up.
Personally, I have on my own, not together with the rest of the youths. Personally, I love ministering in the core Islamic environment.
That's crazy.
Personally.
It's awesome.
Not the same with the rest of our youths. We go together where that is. But personally, I have love. I used to call myself among them then, among all the youths that we are always together, we're all growing up, and we love mission, we all love evangelism. I used to call myself an apostle to the Islam. to the
Uh,
Islam,
yeah.
also to the Muslim people. And but each of us are working. Many of them are working in bigger company than mine. Some of them are business people, but we all grew together. If it needs money, all of us will bring in the money. And if it means paying a pastor in some of all those villages, we do go. We do pay them. We take care of them.
Yeah.
So many of those have not really surrendered fully into ministry. But at a point, I felt I need to resign from UAC into full ministry. So I resigned. Personally, I left the group, being that I love ministry among the Islam, among the Muslim. There is a core Islamic environment in Nigeria, which is the core north of Sokoto. That is where we have the Sultan, which is also the head of Islamic religion in Nigeria. That is where I went. As soon as I resigned, I went there straight. And I was ministering, and God was helping. During my ministry days in Sokoto, in Brenin Kebbi, in Zamfara, God touched many lives. There are many core Islamic leaders that got converted through us. That time, I begin to feel we have to open up our own ministry, not just the youth. You know, the youth did not go with me this time. I go personally now.
Okay.
So we begin to raise like-minded brethren together with me. That was when Royal Missionary Outreach International were formed in Sokoto there. We still labor, we're still reaching out to communities, to especially more difficult places, until the Lord revealed unto me a revelation that I should go to. It was two instructions. Go to Insala. Then number two, ensure there is revival in the desert during your lifetime. These two instructions were strong on us. It was as if you don't keep these two instructions, you're a failure in life. If you don't keep these two instructions, you are no longer in fellowship with Him. If you don't keep these two instructions, your relationship with God is ended there. So we felt our days in northern Nigeria is coming to an end. That we should go further to the north, and to the north to the desert. Because, you know, it wasn't the time of internet. So we depend heavily on library. So we went from library to study. Where is
What
Insala?
year? What year is this?
That's 1991 precisely.
Okay, 1991. All right. So
yes.
1980, you give your life to the Lord. You get converted.
Yes.
And for 10 years, you're doing evangelism.
Seriously going about evangelism with youths like us.
And then in 1991, the Lord said, "Hey, pal, I have something else for you.
Go to this." So
go to the desert.
Yes. We discovered the Lord is leading us to Sahara Desert. The Sahara Desert I was talking about is not Algeria, Libya, northern Niger. It's not the northern part of Libya. It's not the northern part of Algeria. We are talking about the southern part. The southern part of Algeria, the southern part of Libya, and the northern part of Niger Republic. This axis, we used to call them Tuareg Kingdom, ancient Tuareg Kingdom in those days, before the coming of the West, before the coming of France to colonize the region. I take time to study about this region in the library. I've never been there before. I don't know anybody there. I don't have any contact. But that was the instruction.
I'm sorry.
So the only thing we can do.
I don't mean to be laughing at you, but I'm not laughing at you. But what I love is that you felt like you heard from the Lord. I want you to go to the desert, and you knew exactly what He meant, where He meant.
Yes.
But you had never been there. You don't have any contacts there.
We have never,
and you know nothing about the region.
No, we have never met with anyone that knew anything about those regions. The only thing we depend on is to go to library, check the atlas, check the different type of stories. put them study about what Algeria is all about, what is Libya all about, their currency, their government, their regulations, their law, and everything we need to read. We just have to study. And we study enough, we pick notes, we write a lot of things down, and we get ourselves acquainted with whatever we may be there. Then we were on our way.
And there
I must tell you, sir, the time we were to take off, in fact, the Lord even got to time, he said, by March, you must be on your way. As at February, we have no dime on us. As at a week to the time, we have no dime on us. We have been announcing to everybody, we are packing, we are going, we are leaving. There was a lady I want to marry that time because I have not married. I was not married then. And then when I went to the family and said, I would like to marry your daughter, and they asked me 2 or 3 questions, the matter ends. They said, the fathers asked me, I said, you said you are going to marry our daughter and you are going to go to somewhere with it permission? We said, yes. All right. Do you know anybody there? We said, no. Do you have work which you are going to be doing when you get there? We said, no. Then there has a third one. Do you have no, I think the third one, do you know someone? I said, we said, no. Do you have the work you are going to be doing? We said, no. Then they asked me, they said, you go there first. If you get there, if you get a job and everything is okay, then you can come for my daughter. And that was the end of the story. We felt that is not the person God wants us to marry. So we went. Together with a few teams that we were together in Sokoto, we went to the desert. We all men. When we were to go, few property that I have, a week to the time we have to take off, we have announced to everybody. And so we just have to take off that day. Yep. So few property that we can make together, we sold them. Because, you know, in our days, we felt if God said go somewhere, you don't tell God I don't have money to. Because we felt God will ask you. Those other guys that are going from places to places looking for something to do, looking for work to do, looking for something to eat, and they take off, they go from one village to another village, from one country to another country, who sponsored them? Who gave them the money? Each of them find their level, each of them find their way to anywhere they feel they're going. So we feel if God send you, what next for you is to find your way and go. You don't need to ask anybody any questions. In fact, that time we do not even learn of faith for provision. We just learn that God sent you. Then if you don't want trouble for your life, you should be there. How you are going to be there, just find your way anyway. So I remember we just saw what we have and what we could take us to the next state. So we took vehicle to the next state. We got a friend in the church, we ministered in his church. They gave us some honorarium and we left again. Communicate to another person that is on the way. Please, can I come around there? I said, yes, you can come. We come, we minister again. So each provision we receive from a church. So it might be just sharing testimony. It might be just 3 days program. Each money we take from one, took us to the other, until we get to the border. At the border of Niger Republic, we just take the vehicle from there with all that remain with us, and we landed in Niamey, which is the headquarters of Niger Republic. Because that is the country you are going to meet before you go to desert. Gotcha. If you are living in Nigeria. So we felt from that place we need to study what the others, and also see what we can do to raise some money. We did several many works, and during our lifetime in Niamey, we were able to raise church. God help, indigenous church. But that Niamey is not where we're going. Niamey is just a place to study what that place looks like and a place to raise some money. We do some funny many job, barbing salon, repairing shoes and all those things to keep ourselves together
So
when we were
you
there.
basically just, you got to the city and you're doing whatever you can.
Yeah, because
What
oh, we don't know anybody, number one.
you
And
have to,
and
and you have to eat. You have to
some
eat Sunday.
yeah,
So,
we just have to eat and we don't have anything. Neither do
yeah.
we even understand the language. And some few pastors were made there, they are not accommodating in the first place. So they are not accommodating. So we just have to find our way.
Oh,
We can be together in the fellowship, but if it is issue of supporting, assisting new person coming in, no. So and most of them are from the West. So everybody maintain distance. And
so
then we
great.
just have to survive and have to be there.
Yeah,
And
right.
it is a kind of a journey of no coming back.
Yeah,
You have an
yeah.
instruction. Go to desert, ensure there's revival in desert during your lifetime. If you don't succeed, don't come back.
Mm,
So it's a kind of burning the bridge behind us. We can't think of some environment that's so tough, so difficult that we think of coming back home. No, we
yeah.
just have to do what God sent us to do. To cut the long story short, we were able to succeed in the army. We moved towards the library, which is at the border of Algeria here and the
Mhm.
border of Mali here. So we succeeded in that place. We went straight to Agadez, which is at the border of Algeria and Libya, and
Okay.
which is the entrance of the Sahara Desert. That is where we are coming. We reached there around 1999, and then we started. No, around the 1997. Sorry,
That's okay.
around 1997.
1997, you get to the desert.
Yeah, we tested to the desert, and then
So
we
this is what I
started.
love. This is what I love. Olu, I'm gonna interrupt you and I apologize. And I want people to understand who are watching this that the decision to obey didn't mean immediate successes.
No,
The decision to
definitely it will
obey
take time.
was
Yeah,
a decision to obey Jesus, and you're going to go. And so you went to a holding city, basically, earned your way for almost a decade.
that's right.
I mean,
Trying to
we're talking about
study.
8 or 9 years there. Yeah.
Yeah, and the
Preparing,
challenges,
yeah,
preparing for
preparing,
the real place where we're going,
which is the desert.
preparing, preparing in understanding of the environment, in the
Yeah.
understanding of the language, and you also understand from the background we're coming in. Not that we have any resources,
Right.
neither do we have any resources coming from anywhere.
So you're
So
tent making.
even as at that time, we don't have enough transportation to the real place. So we just have to start where. In fact, the first thing is we don't even have anything to eat with. So we just have
Yeah.
to find a work to do to first survive here
You have to
before
find
you
a
can now begin
job.
to think of
Yeah.
getting.
Yeah. You're tent making. You're
Yeah,
being very Pauline in your approach,
yeah,
right? You're
yes,
finding a job, making your way, finding housing, finding food, building
yes, to get yourself
relationships, and preparing yourself for the desert for
for the
eight
real
or 9 years.
up to 9 years.
Yeah, folks, this is what
Up,
obedience does. And no loss of passion, no loss of drive, no loss of understanding about where you're going. You
in fact,
understand this is all preparation to get you to the desert.
where we're going. And the instruction was strong at the back of our mind
Yeah.
that we are not here to stay. We are just transiting, no matter how many years it goes. We have not yet obeyed God. If as soon as it is to us, we have not yet done what He said we should do, but we're
Yeah.
on our way there.
So good.
We're on our way there.
All right. So you
God
get to the
helping,
desert.
we eventually get to the desert. As at that time, we have been able to get bicycle, at least 2 bicycles for our team. Just bicycle for our team. So
How
we
many's
put
on your
them on.
team? You said your
We were
team. How
four.
four
We
of
were
you?
4 men, all of us.
So you have four single
Unmarried
men,
men, single
four
men.
single men with two
Yeah,
bicycles.
with 2 bicycles. We put all things that we were able to get, we put them on top of a lorry And we were on our way. We can't afford any small vehicle, so we put them on a very long trailer, that's long truck. And we find our way. We spent 7 days in the same park where they drop our load before we can get a house to rent in Agadez. We met with, as at that time, this same Agadez, which is the entrance to Sahara Desert, alone, because it's completely not, it's arid desert as at that time. And then we met with, God help, we met with 3 missionaries in Agadez, then 1 missionary in Arlit. Arlit is directly very close to the border of Algeria. All of them are elderly. It's only the one among them a bit younger, about my age. That one comes from France. We call the name Jack. The other one from South America, David. That one was there. Then we also have one from Italy, an elderly man, about 70-something years old. That one is for Catholic.
Wow.
And then the third one, the fourth one was the one in Alit. He's also an elderly, together with his wife, they're all elderly. Eventually, we were there together with them. The only thing we really, some sensitive property we have, which we feel may get lost on the park there, where all our things are, and that's where we do sleep. We goes out in the afternoon, we come to that same park and sleep with our thing there until about 7th day before we get a house to rent. So those sensitive things that we felt may be tampered with, there was a missionary, that's Jack, that allowed us to pack them and keep in their store, but they do not allow us to sleep in their house. So until we were able to find a place to lodge, then we now took those property together with us. And we started. We are the only, let me just say, African missionary among them. The rest have been white. So we are the only African missionary that was among them. And then God help us. We started. As at that time, it was very much difficult for people to preach in the desert, because the white missionaries will tell me, be careful, do it gently, and all those things. But we have the passion. We have come to where we're coming. We have a vision.
Right.
So we go into some rough, to their own way, we go into some rough way of doing the ministry in the desert. And God helped us. He protected us. He made a way. In fact, we have a lot of breakthrough faster. We were the first, when we were there when they are starting FM, all these FM radio stations, government began to give license to private individuals to open up radio stations. And so we're the first person that bought airtime in the desert to reach out to more interior places where we personally may not be able to enter. We do not really understand the language.
Yeah, so I want to just pause, because I want to get this straight for myself, as for in case anybody else is thinking the same thing. You are, as far as you know, you're the first African missionaries
in the desert.
In the desert. And you're the first missionaries at all who ever bought airtime to reach the desert.
30 minutes airtime to reach out. In fact, some of my friends, other missionaries, before, some of them are dead, they are late now. Like the missionaries, David has returned back to America as an old person, so the wife have returned back to America. The elderly man of Catholic is dead and was buried there. The elderly man of Alit is dead. Both he and his wife were buried there. The Jack have resigned from the ministry and has gone back. So we still remain, together with all their brethren, that the group and all the fellowship. So we are now coordinating all of them too, so that they won't feel the absence of, what even makes it worse is during this last lockdown, those other missionaries that were just trying to move from the south to the north, they were forced by their sponsors to go back to leave Niger Republic because of the lockdown, and they were all out. And since that time, many of them have not come back. So we just have to be there, keeping the fellowships and the brethren together. But do not forget that the instruction we receive is not just to open church, not just to preach the gospel, not just to even preach on radio, but to ensure there's revival in deserts. Now, we started radio program because of that, because we're not satisfied with the few fellowships and all those things that we're raising. Our vision is not for Agadez. Our vision is not for the region of Niger Republic. Our vision is for both the Niger Republic region, the northern region, the southern region of Algeria, the southern regions of Libya. And so we're trying to see whatever it is we can reach to do to reach out as many as possible. I remember some of my friend missionaries then, before they died, they were asking me, you should take it cool. Because if you go on radio, the governments are hearing you. If you go on radio, the fanatics are listening to you. If you have not yet prepared yourself to go out of this environment or to be eliminated out of this environment, I think you should keep the faith cool. But you see, you can understand from the background which I'm coming from. I can't keep it because we are talking about revival. If I keep it cool till when? This thing has to happen during our lifetime. So we can't keep it cool. Right. So we went on radio. So they were all waiting to see what will happen. But you see, they were so surprised that once we call the program Lokochi Al-Masiu, that means the hour of Jesus Christ. Okay. So we call it Lokochi in the language of in Hausa language. And we were running it. After some time, it will be during that time the entire town and the environment that were listening, everyone will be quiet listening to Lokochi Amasiu. Lokochi Amasiu is no longer a program for the Christian, it's now a program for almost all the whole town. They were also hearing it. They were also seeing the reactions of the people. Interesting. I knew how many times some of the sheikh came to our office and said, I heard you treating Job the other time. We never had it that way before. In our book, it was not treated that way. I heard you treating this, and some of them collected Arab Bible from our, like we have what we call a bookshop, library. So we have bookshops, we sell some of all those things. So they will give it to them. And they went with Arab Bibles, and some of them become converted. They shake. So when they begin to see some of all this response of the people, especially stark Islam, that were not lynched, wait, one second. The sheikhs are getting saved? Yes. Because they're listening to your program. Yeah. They come to your office and you give them and they Bibles. Get more information about it. And they now beg, will you give us your Bible in Arab? We said, why not? We dashed them the Bible we're selling. Fantastic. And since then, they have been coming closer to us and give their life to Christ and all those things. Well, when our brethren, the rest of the missionaries, saw that we were not lynched, we were not kidnapped, nothing happened, instead people. So they came to the same radio station and bought 30 minutes too. And got so good. We have 3 of us that were running programs on radio before some of them begin to die, before some of them begin to leave. We now still have to remain there. Yeah. So what I just want to bring out is that, yeah, we have a zeal. But despite that, we have not got what we're looking for. Yeah. Because desert, as at that time, you have a complete local government. Yeah. If we say local government in that place, is a wide expanse of area. You know, desert is large in landscape, although the few people, communities are not as plenty, but they were far apart. You can, before leaving this village to the next big place we are going to see people settle, It will take you 200 kilometers, 300 kilometers just to the next place people trek.
And
some
how
places,
big are the villages?
Is as, in fact, the northern part of Niger alone is larger than Nigeria.
Oh, wow.
It's larger than the remaining part of Niger Republic.
Okay.
The same thing in the southern part of Libya, so wide. You can study it on map, you're going to find it there. And people are living in those deserts.
Yeah.
Communities, towns, and villages, but they are far apart.
Right.
At times, some places, you can only find vehicle leaving that town to the next town once in a day. If you miss it that day, you are to find somewhere to go and sleep till tomorrow. Once in a day.
Yeah.
And some of these vehicles are four-wheel drive that are going to pass through trackless desert to the next community. So it's not somewhere that you could easily leave this town and say you want to go to another town easily. But we were feeling that because some of all these local governments around have no single Christian as at that time. Yeah. In the entire, I'm not talking about a town, a local government that have several towns inside them, do not even have single Christian, not to talk of having a church, or not to talk of having a Christian leader preaching there.
Right.
And the revival the Lord was talking to us about, speaking from the book of Isaiah, that I'm going to do a new thing. I'm going to bring rivers of waters to the desert. To us, the revelation comes. The rivers of waters is talking about is Christians, those who believe. Yeah. Because Jesus said, as many that believe me, out of them will come the fountains of living waters. So the Lord opened our eyes to see that, look, revival, it means is that Christian believers in Christ will flood the desert during our lifetime.
That's awesome.
And we must ensure Christian populations are so large in almost every part of Sahara Desert in our lifetime. And this was time when we felt several local governments has no single Christian. Mm-hmm. Right. Several community has no church.
Right.
So you could see the difference where we're coming from. We're not happy because we start a church. We're not happy because we have fellowship where we are. We're not happy even for radio going to as many as we want. All we want to see is large population of Christians in a place where we have less than 1% Christian in the entire population of Sahara.
Crazy.
So how do we raise less than 1% to at least 60 to 70% of Christians during our lifetime?
Yeah.
So we begin to pray. We saw it as how will it happen? We were trusting God, we're fasting, we're praying. We do not see any success in all this preaching, conversions, and all these things because it does not look like the picture the Lord showed to us. When we were like stranded, that God, we're growing. How long will it be? When will it happen? What should we do?
Right.
Then the Lord revealed something to us. He said, take 1/3 of Christians in Niger Republic to elsewhere where there are Christian populations, and take 1/3 of Christian brethren from elsewhere where there are Christianity to desert. Then there will be revival. To take 1/3 of Christian here, well, the country that can be more closer to us is Nigeria. Let us say to take 1/3 of Christian in Niger Republic to Nigeria to share them into churches to fellowship with brethren and see how Christianity. Right. And what are the culture? Because many of them that are Christian, there are many of them that are now pastors, many of them that labor with us as missionaries. I've never seen Christians set up elsewhere apart from.
Interesting.
So definitely they are coming from Islam. but they have never seen another Christian setup than the one we're doing there.
Right.
So definitely we must take them to where Christianities are being done. And they should fellowship with other brethren. They should see how large Christian community are. They should see the culture of Christians and the culture of church practices and many other things. Then we should also take 1/3 of Christians in Nigeria to desert. They all said, if we can do this, the revival will happen. That was after months of praying and crying.
Right.
And when will it happen? And how? And what should we do? When we feel we're already failing, when we feel there's nothing else and we don't know what next, then the Lord give us this revelation. He said, good. So what we now do, there was a time we took some Christians, brethren from different languages, from different people groups, we gathered all of them up to 25. We sponsored the journey. You know, one thing in our environment there is that if you are taking somebody away from the family, you take care of the transportation, you must also drop some money for the family at home. So we have to do that. And you know, Christianity in our place or conversion in our place may not be the same in any other place. It's peculiar.
Right.
It's not like you are giving birth to a child and you'll be happy you are giving birth to a child, but you must take care of that child, the feeding, everything. For example, if a Muslim is converted to us, to Christianity, the family may not kill him in desert. No. They will just assume that, look, you are no longer in our religion, so we cannot use the money of our religion to feed you. Go to that person whom you felt you have received is Jesus Christ. Let him be feeding. If you have married, we're withdrawing our wife, our daughter. Go to them, let them marry for you. If you have not yet married, go to them, let them marry for you. We cannot use money of Islam to sponsor a Christian. If you don't have a job, if you have a job, we're relieving you of your job. Go there, they should find you another job. If you are not going to be in our religions, you are not going to get her money. You are not going to get a job.
Let me ask you a question. So what happens if someone is already married, and let's say they have a family?
They do collect their women, the wives back, and those guys will be with us. Those guys will be with us, not married, hoping the day that the Lord will deliver his wife from their hands. And
children. And children?
And children, they do collect the children too, sir.
So they come and collect the wife and the children.
Yeah.
And if the man is the one who gets converted, he has to then go away from the community because they won't support him in any way.
Yeah. So sometimes
Mama.
After God helping us, you know, we too will still be in touch with the wife. Sometimes the wife themselves were converted, but the parent of the wife is not willing to release the lady.
So she has to live as a converted woman under her parents.
But you know, being a woman, some of the parents of those women will not release them. Neither will they release the children. At times, we used to, God helping, after we established, maybe we are here, we may send the guy to maybe Libya, which is a bit another country, and we'll now be arranging when the wife will also be. They may not know when the other person is Libya, and eventually, some will do succeed in getting the wife and the children transported to Libya to go and meet with the husband, without even the family aware that they're going to.
So this thing that you're doing, this reaching of these people in the desert, it's not about you. You have to take in all this family issues,
because they don't have family anymore. Now you are the only family they know.
Now you're it. So you got to help support them.
You are the only family they know. You are the only one that can think. In fact, some of them are completely jobless. So we wake up together every morning thinking, what can we invest on? What can we do? Where can you go? Where can you go? What can you do? What can you do? We organize everybody. And whatever it is we raise, we bring that down to the table. We feed together. So conversion there means giving back to more member of a family.
Yeah.
And more member of a family means giving back to more responsibility in the family. And responsibility means raising more hands to raise whatever it is that we're going to eat together.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we survive together. We work together, we live together, we're just a large family. No matter how large it is.
In the desert.
Enlarging ourselves in the desert.
In the desert.
Yes.
All right. Let's jump forward.
Now let's continue.
Let's jump forward 20 years. So you're in the desert, you've built ministry there, reaching people. You were telling me offline that at this point in life, if you leave Lagos to go in, it's a 3-day, it's not a short activity, right? So when you go back and forth, it's 3 days one way.
If we live here where we can communicate on internet now, and we're going back to our mission field where we cannot communicate again. Straight line, if you are not wasting time on the way, we get there on the 3rd day. If we leave this morning, we're going to get there the 3rd day in the evening.
Wow.
And then that's the reason why internet is so important to us now. Because we don't need to come this 3 days journey because we want to talk to people.
Right.
We should remain our mission field. In fact, there's a new revelation that the Lord is giving to us. You know, when the Lord said, take 1/3 of Christian from desert to a Christian mission force environment, and take people from. So we thought it would just work that way. So we were happy, we were jumping, we have got revelation, and we have got a way out. So like I was saying, I mobilized about 25. We sponsored the journey, we sponsored the family behind, and we went to Nigeria. It was wonderful. There are sort of churches, a lot of things they have never seen before. They were so glad. They came back, they were fired. They tell more people, more from other people group were saying, please, now we want to, this is our turn, let's also go and everything. So we begin to mobilize also in Nigeria, from denominations to denominations. 2 things we mobilize. Please send just one pastor of your denomination to the desert. We have a lot of groups in different parts of places that were churchless. Let your church adopt one group and let it be a mother church. Just put all the resources of your denominations together and get a church that can be given back to more churches. All we have a vision is that, don't forget, we want the populations of Christians to be as large than it was now, than even average during our lifetime. So we're like, come with us. As of now, there is no denomination in Nigeria that have a single soul working for him in the entire Sahara Desert. In Libya, South, in Algeria, South, in Northern Niger Republic. No denomination, no matter how large they are, that have one single person working for them. Then we were mobilizing church members. That's the second mobilization. Church member to please follow us to desert, just on a mission trip.
Right.
And probably because of how far the journey is and the stress, then because of insecurity in Nigeria and probably insecurity on the way on the road of Nigeria, but not in desert. In desert, there's no insecurity. Everywhere is okay. In fact, government rule, government law, wherever you find yourself, 12 o'clock, sleep there. They won't even allow your car or your vehicle to move an inch. Just on the road there. You can sleep anywhere in desert. You are safe and secure. I've never had a house being burgled. I've never had a car being snatched.
Interesting.
I've never had a man being kidnapped. Sahara Desert is secure. But probably because of some people, because they don't want to leave their comfort zone, we find it difficult in getting people from the Christian environment to spend 2 or 3 days at least a mission trip. So
just
we
to get
thought
there.
it would have been easy, that we could get the 1/3 easily, we get 1/3 here. We find it's difficult. Number one, how costly it will be to get our people from here. Number two, how difficult it will be to persuade a person to leave a Christian environment here to desert.
Yeah, because you're talking about taking folks from a comfortable environment
where
they know everybody,
Christian developed environment,
people love them, they love to the desert. Yeah.
To desert, and to take away also people from desert, because that was the instruction that if you can do that, there will be revival.
Yeah.
So when we were struggling for years with this, we were not successful. Then we come back again to the table. God, you told us that if we can take one thought, we try all our efforts. You know we try all our efforts. But the people are not willing. And we don't have enough resources to take people from here. So what next? That was the time the Lord now gave us another revelation. That if you can get an internet down here, maybe, the internet here is functioning, you can now begin to mobilize for virtual mission volunteers. Now let them remain in their comfort zone. All we need is to connect them with our people in deserts. God has given us influence in the entire desert, both before the government, both before the religious leaders, the community. No, God has given us the entire desert. God has given us. There's no places we'll go that the government does not give us. See, they treat us as they are treating ambassadors.
Yeah.
And that's
remarkable.
There's no community we'll get to.
Yeah, because you have influence because you've been there.
Yeah, we have been there together with them. We have touched many of them. We have been together with them, so they felt, and they knew our works. They know us so well.
Right.
We know them so well. So even among the community, among the religious leaders of Islam, we have a very good reputations, and they treated us well. So it doesn't cost us anything. What we just need is, we have what we call big satellite device, internet device, that is just very small, like a little laptop or something like that.
Right.
Which in any of the community, we can just place it sited in the satellite internet. And we put a plasma television, connect the internet with the plasma television. Someone can be in your place and preach the gospel to a community in our place with a portable solar generator. We just do a setup. We can enter into a community which we feel there's no minister, there's no preacher, there's no Christian. We just get to the community. We may even decide to use the village air or the town's traditional life.
So
we get all the people together, we put the plasma there, then we communicate, then the other person begins to preach the gospel.
Right.
We have interpreter here of whatever the language you may want to speak.
Right.
English, French, and our interpreter will interpret to the local. Whatever you are saying, he is interpreting to them. The people are watching you in the plasma television. The internet is connecting us with you. You can be there and minister to our people. And right there, people may be giving their life to Christ right there. With some groups where we run Bible studies and all those things, discipleship programs. We can put this plasma before us. We connect with people. So we begin to do a kind of virtual volunteer, especially among the aged people, among the retired men, retired women, who are retired pastors, retired missionaries, retired doctors, retired veterinary doctor, human doctors, retired teachers for our schools, and many other things. Right. Because we know, number one, they have experience, wealth of experience in their line of work. Someone may be there and be doing doctor consultation with our people in the stark, remote places of deserts. And one day we'll be talking to one another. This is where I'm getting sick, and there will be recommendations. Okay, go and get this drug, go and get this drug, do this.
Yes.
So where there are no doctors, where there is no hospitals, we can link with doctors. Our people dealt with livestock and
Yeah.
many other things. So they
Yeah.
do take their livestock to the interior part of the desert.
So Sunday,
So we
this
connect.
idea that you have right now, I mean, this is a thing you're working on as we speak, trying to get
This
internet
present,
service.
this is what we're working.
And
The
so
only thing that we
what
have
I
not
love
achieved
about what
is
you're doing, what I love about what you're doing on this is that it's not, I mean, yes, it's the gospel presentation,
yes,
but it's also very practical telemedicine consultations regarding the health of livestock from veterinary doctors.
that's
Uh,
right.
it's teaching. It's very, very practical to the very specific things that are being faced on the field, in the desert, in the villages by the people, and they
That's
can
right.
get help from the outside
That's right.
because of
That's
connectivity. That to me
that's
is huge. It's a huge deal, and it's why you're successful preaching the gospel in the desert, because you're
Desert.
caring for the practical needs of the people.
And that's exactly what endear the heart of the whole people to us. They
Yes,
just we feel for them, and we're always about them.
I love that.
And all along, just like I was saying, that they feel this white, the laborers are few, especially in deserts. People are not willing to come to deserts
Yes.
of all
well,
cultures of state. I don't know why.
well,
But I can tell you, desert is good. Desert is peaceful. The people are
uh,
accommodating. The securities are okay. But people are not willing. If it is for God, not willing to come.
not
So
willing to
what
do
then
it.
do we do? And we need desert revival in the desert. So we
Yeah,
want to use technology to bring the people.
that's
Even if you
wonderful.
don't come in person, you can come virtually.
So, okay, let's talk about money, because you told us a great number of stories, and God has shown up, and you guys have been faithful to your group, and has been faithful to you and your family for these 30 years you've been going to the desert. But this whole thing about satellite connectivity isn't going to be cheap.
No, it's very costly. That
Yeah.
began alone, that began alone is around $3,500. Not to talk of the data that you'll be buying on it.
Right.
Some data can be up to 1.5, $1,500.
So when you
But
when
for 3
you
months.
will you
And we
then just
also need,
have a satellite feed per village? Is it one per village?
yes, we need, this began, at least about 3 began that we can be keeping
Okay.
in different part of the people
Three
group.
three three units
That
out there.
Tuareg department will have the Tuareg people group in their own region. We have one. The Fulani in their own region will have one. The
Okay.
Beriberi in their own region will have one. Then in the
Okay.
center, where government gave us several hectares of land, begging us to start primary school, secondary school, university. And that same place we are developing it now. We have started the school. We're still building more classrooms, both for primary, for secondary school,
Mm-hmm.
and for more purposes, of which God used your organization to support us in building 2 classrooms,
Thank you. We're
which was
happy.
the
We're happy.
first time that we received any support from the West.
Mm. We were the
It's so
first time.
strange to us. This is the first time we should even receive any support from anywhere
Wow.
concerning desert. God used your organizations to build 2 classrooms for us, and being
Yes.
the first of it in history since 30 years of being desert,
Mm.
that we should
That's
have
hard for me to
someone
believe.
from the West or from anywhere
Yeah. Yeah.
that can be part of what we're doing in desert.
Well, listen, it was
Now,
our pleasure.
now,
It was our
now
pleasure.
in that particular place where the government lands and all this, the children will need to be using toilet. We need to get waters. Now there's no water there.
Mm. You're in the desert.
We're strong.
That there's
Yeah, there's no.
there's no water because
Yeah,
you're in the
so
desert, right?
there's no, especially in that place where the government gave to us. The waters in the town, the government water, it will take several kilometers to get there. So we
Mm.
have not connected. So definitely
So
we
you
need of
You
our
need to dig a
own.
well.
We need a well, we need toilets for not only us, but for the community around us, around the school, around the
Yeah.
environment. We need solar light for them and for the operations in the office. And we also need what we call this VSAT satellite installation in that place, because in that same place, we want to get a university connected to a university outside, maybe in the West or elsewhere. So that can be the campus where those people can be receiving the lecture online.
Yeah.
And we also want to start the first seminary ever in desert. Because presently now, there's no seminary in southern Libya. There's no seminary in southern Algeria. There's no seminary in northern Nigeria.
Right.
No seminary where Christian men could be trained on ministry.
Right.
And people are growing, and more numbers of people are ministering already. So we need to raise, especially focusing on intercultural study, we need to raise more missionaries that will replace us in case we leave. So we need to train as much out in that seminary. So we need to raise a seminary here, if possible, connected to seminary out there, so that the certificate can be authentic, and so that input also can come. So the internet usage in that land alone, the bigger satellite device cannot handle it. So that's the reason we need a VSAT satellite installation in that land, for the sake of the university, for the sake of the school, for the sake of also the seminary. Because the downloading will be so heavy that those people will be in need of.
So what we're going to do,
so we need a big VSAT there, then we need about 3 bigger elsewhere.
All right. So folks, as you watch this, just so you know, and so you know as well, Sonny, we'll put all your information in the show notes below this video, and there will be a link there specifically for folks if you want to take part and you want to give toward the satellite installations, the wells, the solar for these schools. And remember, they're in the middle of the desert, and so all these things have to be done independently because there's no infrastructure there. So if you want to take part of that, just click on the links down there in the show notes, and we'll be glad to give you the opportunity to give toward the project directly. Olu, I have a couple of questions for you, and I know we're running out of time, but I have a couple of questions I want to ask you. All these years, and this may be hard to narrow down. I get that, but if you could think of what are the 1 or 2 things, the biggest lessons that you've learned about obeying and following what God has asked of you, what have you learned about him in this process? What's your biggest lessons?
I think one lesson, and the biggest lesson, that to be in ministry, especially mission work, if you just have to choose between the two, faith or money, because it will come to a time that without faith you cannot continue.
Right.
Without faith you can't please him, and the faith will be coming in the endearing of faith and risk will be coming to you over and over and over that you cannot graduate from. Without faith, you cannot obey. His is to tell you, go, and you are not to ask too much question. You go.
Yeah.
Because without faith, you will not go the time he wants you to go. I've learned that there is no way a missionary can operate without faith.
Without faith. Yeah.
A faith we can call bad risk or reckless risk.
Okay, hold on.
You can't graduate from
that's a really good point. You're saying
you can't graduate from it.
You can go, but without the faith to understand that you're going in the hands of God, it's reckless risk.
Complete reckless risk that normal common sense will not Fatum. But yet you just have to. If you want God's hands to be around you, if you want God to be involved in whatever you are doing, if you want God to continue maintaining good relationship with you, and you feel refreshed, and you feel okay, and you feel at least between you and God there is no trouble, then faith is involved.
Yeah.
Because God will take you through the fire and through the water, and you must not turn elsewhere. You must face that fire. You
Did you
must face
find,
the water. And He
did you
will never
find,
fail you.
right. Did you find that
Because
faith was built as you obeyed, or do you feel like you had to have that faith before you obey?
I think the obedience itself is a test that you love Him. If you don't obey, then you can't have faith, because the more you are experiencing risk and you saw the way the whole thing end, things that you see that definitely this thing will kill me. I am seeing death. I am seeing fire. I'm entering there, and that may be the last time I shall exist. And you enter into the fire and nothing kills you.
Yeah.
And nothing happens. Then you have begin to know God the more. That so He can deliver me.
Yes.
Then you have got a faith. You have got your faith is getting built up. But without obedience in the first place, there's no faith anywhere.
There you go.
And without faith, there's no obedience.
That's
But
beautiful.
you just have to first take a step.
That's right.
And risk. And said, if I die, I die. If I perish, I perish. Then you are going to see God at work. Because eventually you will not perish. From our youth, when we start this ministry, we do talk to people that we're looking for death. But death will never come anyway. It seems to me that if you are looking for death, death will be running away from you.
That's right.
But if you are running away from death, death will be pursuing you. So to me, I learned that I don't know when one can graduate from. Even if God will give you billions of dollars and billions of dollars, there will be moments of risk.
Yeah.
That you just have to risk. It will not, if
it's
it
that
doesn't come
risk
this
that
way,
builds your
it will
faith.
come this way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's part. But
to
so
obey at times used to look like big risk.
Yeah, it's symbiotic, right? Your obedience and your faith are a symbiotic growth, right?
Yeah, yes.
You have faith to obey, but as you obey, your faith will grow.
You grow. That's right.
Yeah.
You know, one must love God to a point that all you need from Him is to just instruct you. As simple as He said, then as simple you go. Childlike faith.
Yes. So what do you say, Olu, to those who say, you know, I've asked God to show me, but He hasn't.
I will tell them that the Lord have showed them, but they are disobedient.
I'm sorry, say that again. Say the Lord has showed them, but what?
Anyone that you said, anyone that you hear saying, I'm listening, I want God to show me what I should do, I'm waiting. Tell him that God has spoken. He is the one that refused to listen. He is the one that is.
People aren't willing to hear that.
Because
people aren't willing. Yeah.
Most of the time, the Lord do speak. If the Lord said, you know, you need to take one before you take two, before you take three. If the Lord takes you, take one, and you have not obeyed to take one, and you are saying, God, I'm waiting for you to tell me. God will not speak again. You take the first number one.
Yes.
That is the time you can be expecting God to take you the number two.
Yes.
If you obey the number two, then God will be willing to continue with you to number three. If the Lord tells you something and you have not obeyed, you say, I want to get it more clearly. I want to get it more clearly. Then He won't talk. If He has revealed something, go first.
Yeah.
Go blindly, go foolishly. If there's anything to get corrected, He'll be correcting you along the way.
That is such a great instruction. and it's so hard for people to hear, right? You've experienced there in Africa, it's hard for people to hear it there well, because it's a human issue. We don't want to obey that which is uneasy for us. But what you're saying in your experience, and I'm asking you those questions, Olu, because you've done it for 30 years.
Yeah.
I don't know what step 2 is, but that's unnecessary because I haven't yet obeyed step 1. Right? So we obey step 1 and then let God reveal step 2 at the time he needs to reveal it. We don't have to know it ahead of time. Otherwise, it's not faith.
It won't talk again. In fact, that may be the beginning of the declining of your relationship with him.
Nice.
When God spoke to Saul to eliminate Amalekite people,
yes,
where he stopped obeying, that is where God stopped talking to.
There you go.
When he was obeying, God was talking to. Where he stopped obeying, God stopped talking to. Then he has to search for which doctor to talk to. Where you stop obeying, that is where the revelation ends. Maybe next time you have to be looking for soothsayer before you can know what next. Because God was not talking.
Yes.
Because the Bible said God refused to talk to Saul either by Urim or by Thummim, by dream or by revelation. Why? Because he refused to obey. He refused to obey the first instruction. Yeah. And at times, a lot of noise will not allow us to obey. Some probably because we don't want to leave our comfort zone, because our wife do not see that way, or because whatever. So we pretend as if we're not hearing him well.
Yeah.
Or we do not really understand what he's trying to say. We understand, but some things were not just going to let us go. So me, I just believe with experiences over and over and over, we come to believe that what we call simple obedience of a childhood obedience, is just the only way to work with God. And if you don't want to miss that relationship, that communication, do what he told you to do first. Then you will see it will come more clearly to you. Better.
That's great. That's just great insight. That is not theoretical insight, Olu. That is practical insight, because you've had to live it. Right? My brother, thank you for joining us today, folks. Now you know why I asked Olu to be part of this around the world. I just love what you guys are doing there. I love that your obedience is off the charts, and you do the things that are in comfort for everyday people. Not because you're looking to be seen by other people. It's because you haven't fulfilled the mandate you feel like the Lord has given you. So you obey until you do, right? And it's been 30 years. And so, and we're just going to go on to 40 years, my brother. And for the next however long, we're just going to stand with you and do it together. So, so folks, thank you so much for joining us today for Around the World. Remember, please read the notes below this video in the notes section. And if you want to be part of what Olu is doing, please click on the link. You're able to give online around the world, and that money will get to those projects for what they're doing, and you can be part of building the kingdom in the desert among the Fulani and Tuareg peoples. So, any parting words for us, Olu?
Well, my parting words is, the Bible said, the gospel of the Lord, the gospel of peace, will be preached in the last region where the gospel have never been preached, to serve as a witness to them. Then the end will come. Rapture will come when the people of God will bring gospel to desert. My last word is for everyone to come to desert. Then the end will come. Don't leave the people of desert behind. Don't go to there's no rapture without our.
That's right.
Go
Because
with us. Don't leave us behind.
yes. Because Jesus loves the Fulani and the Tuareg as much as he loves any other people, right?
In the remote part of the world, in the
That's
uttermost part of the world, and it's with us. If you cannot come in person, come virtually.
There you go. Which is why we need your help to build the satellite installation so you can come virtually. All right.
That's right.
Hey, thank you everybody for joining us for Around the World. Join us next time. I don't know when that's going to be. Just keep following our YouTube page, and because you never know where in the world we'll be next time. We'll see you then.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Olu.